तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to our daily morning reading of Srimad Bhāgavatam. Thank you so much for joining, and please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. I beg for blessings from Srila Prabhupada, the entire Guru Parampara, and my Guru Maharaj, so I can say a few words in the glorification of Krishna and his Nama Rupa Guna Lila for the purification of my own consciousness. And I also seek blessings from all of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So we are reading from Canto 1, chapter 18, titled Mahārāja Parīkṣit, cursed by a Brāhmaṇa boy. And so far in this chapter, we have read 13 verses until yesterday. In the verses 1 to 10, we read about Parīkṣit Mahārāja's birth, his death, and his dealings with Kali Purush, how Kali could not flourish in Parīkṣit Mahārāja's rule. And then from verse 11, we have entered in a section from verse 11 until verse 17. We are in a section. So in this section, basically, the sages of Naimisharanya, they are expressing their eagerness to hear about Krishna and his devotee Parīkṣit Maharaj. So they tell Suta Goswami, they glorify him, they bless him to have a long life, because the pastimes of Krishna that he is describing, they are like nectar. And then in yesterday's verse, the sages glorified the association of devotees. And today in verse 14, it is still being spoken by the sages of Naimisharanya, and let's see what they are glorifying now. So let's go to verse 1, 18, 14. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भक्तेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। को नाम तृप्येद रसवेत् कथायाम् महात्तमैकान्तपरायणस्य नान्दं गुणानां गुणस्य जग्मुर् योगेश्वराय भगवत्मुखा भवपादमुख्या। Again. को नाम तृप्येद रसवेत् कथायां महात्तमैकान्तपरायणस्य नान्तं गुणानां गुणस्य जग्मुर् योगेश्वराय भवपाद्ममुख्या। Let's look at word to word. Kaha Who is he? Nama specifically. Trupyet, get full satisfaction. Rasvit, expert in relishing mellow nectar. Kathayam, in the topics of. Mahat Tam, the greatest amongst the living beings. Ekanta, exclusively. Parayanasya, of one who is the shelter of. Na, never. Antam, end. Gunanam, of attributes. Agunasya, of the transcendence. Jagmuhu, could ascertain. It also means, Jagmu also means to measure. Yoga Ishvaraha, the lords of mystic power. Ye, all they. Bhava, Lord Shiva. So generally we hear the word bhava as a verb. For example, when somebody is blessing someone, they say Ayushyaman bhava, Putravati bhava, Saubhagyavati bhava. So bhava means to be. So bhava comes from bhu dhatu in Sanskrit. So it means to be or to become. So Lord Shiva is called bhava here because as we know, he plays a role in the destruction of the universe, which leads to new creation. So Sanskrit is such an interesting language. The one that causes destruction is called the one who causes existence, the one who brings being in existence. That's why he is called Bhava. And we also see his wife, Durga Devi, is called Bhavani. Yes, that's the reason why Srila Prabhupada translates the word Bhava as Lord Shiva. Then Padma, Lord Brahma. And we know that Brahmaji, he's literally born from a lotus flower growing from Lord Vishnu's navel, Garbhodakshai Vishnu. That's why he is called Padma, because he is born of a Padma, lotus flower. Then Mukhyaha, heads. Let's look at the translation. Translation by Krishna Krupamurti, His Loving Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, Govinda, is the exclusive shelter for all great living beings, and his transcendental attributes cannot even be measured by such masters of mystic powers as Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Can anyone who is expert in relishing nectar, rasa, ever be fully satiated by hearing topics about him? Would anyone like to read the purport, please?
I can read,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Go ahead, Mataji.
Go ahead.
Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are two chiefs of the demigods. They are full of mystic powers. For example, Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison, of which one drop was sufficient to kill an ordinary living being. Similarly, Brahma could create many powerful demigods, including Lord Shiva. So they are Ishvaras, or lords of the universe, but they are not the supreme powerful. The supreme powerful is Govinda, Lord Krishna. He is the transcendence, and his transcendental attributes cannot be measured even by such powerful Ishvaras as Shiva and Brahma. Therefore, Lord Krishna is the exclusive shelter of the greatest of all living beings. Brahma is counted amongst the living beings, but he is the greatest of all of us. And why is the greatest of all the living beings so much attached to the transcendental topics of Lord Krishna? Because he is the reservoir of all enjoyment. Everyone wants to relish some kind of taste in everything, but one who is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord can derive unlimited pleasure from such engagement. The Lord is unlimited, and his name, attributes, pastime, entourage, variegatedness, etc. are unlimited, and those who relish them can do so unlimitedly and still not feel satiated. This fact is confirmed in the Padma Purana. Ramante yogino nante Satyananda Chidatmane Iti Rama Padenaso Param Brahma Bhidhiyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasures from the Absolute Truth, and therefore the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Ram. There is no end to such transcendental discourses. In mundane affairs, there is the law of satiation, but in transcendence, there is no such satiation. Suta Goswami desired to continue the topics of Lord Krishna before the sages of Naimisharanya, and the sages also expressed their readiness to hear from him continuously. Since the Lord is transcendence and his attributes are transcendental, such discourses increase the receptive mood of the purified audience. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Both the verse and the purport, they are both so rich in meaning, isn't it? So the verse starts with Ko naam tripyed rasvit kathayam. So rasvit, those who are expert in relishing mellow nectar. So what happens to them? Ko naam tripyed. Trupti means satisfaction. So let's read the last bit of the translation again. Can anyone who is expert in relishing nectar, rasa, so that means those who are rasavit, can they ever be fully satiated by hearing topics about him? So it is a question here with an obvious answer that they are never satisfied of hearing about the Lord. They are never satisfied, no matter how much they hear about Krishna. They want to hear more and more. That was the condition of Parīkṣit Maharaj. When he heard from Shukdev Goswami, and that is the condition of these sages of Naimisharanya when they are hearing about activities of Krishna from Suta Goswami. And that should be the condition of all of us as well. That should be the goal of life. That a day comes when we also forget everything else, and when we are hearing about hearing the sound vibration about Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Gun, and Leela. That is the goal, that we also become rasavit. So the key word here is rasavit. That is, that is what we want to be. One who is expert in relishing the nectar of Krishna Katha. So Krishna Katha should be giving us so much pleasure that we stop looking for pleasure anywhere else. And this is exactly what, that famous verse that we learned in 7th chapter of 1st Canto, Atma Ramascha Munayo verse. That is exactly what that verse also talks about. So if we try to remember that verse, 1, 7, 10, so it says, Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgrantha api urukrame Kurvanti ahitu kim bhaktim itham bhuta guno harihim. That, and by the way, this verse, Atma Ramascha Munayo verse, it is the one Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu repeatedly quoted and described and explained in many different ways. And that is exactly what our today's verse is also saying. That those who are Atmaram, those who are fully satisfied, they are completely spiritually blissed out. They are completely connected to the Supreme. Even they never become satiated in hearing about Krishna. They still want to hear more and more because they are rasavit. His Holiness Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj said in a lecture that one has to become rasik. Srila Rupa Goswami came into this world to establish the rasa theology. And one scholar, he very beautifully sums up this rasa theology. He says that the taster tastes the taste because they have good taste. The taster tastes the taste because they have good taste. The people who are rasavit, they get nectar from Krishna Katha. They like to hear Krishna Katha because they have good taste. So even if, sometimes even if one comes in contact with the object of rasa, but if one is not, if one does not have good taste, then one cannot appreciate it. They will become bored. They will become distracted, disinterested. So, sorry. So Krishna is Rasaraj. Sometimes even if one comes in contact with Krishna's topics, still one cannot feel attracted. If one is not at the stage of ruchi, then they don't have the taste. So one has to become a rasavit, a connoisseur of transcendental mellows. Just a second. So our Rupa Goswami is Rasacharya, and we are Rupanugas. We also have to become Rasika, following the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. So unless one becomes a Rasvit, a connoisseur of spiritual taste, then one cannot deeply appreciate Krishna Katha. It will seem very ordinary or boring or even irrelevant to someone who is still attached to the material rasa. Someone who has still got some desires to enjoy material energy. And Srila Prabhupada understood this very well, and that's why he gave us higher taste. He knew that people in Kali Yuga, they will not have the taste. So to develop the taste, the higher taste, higher rasa, he presented this Krishna consciousness philosophy such a way that awakens our rasa, awakens taste in us. He gave us the holy name, chanting Hare Krishna, which purifies the heart and awakens the rasa. He gave us nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu, the ocean of rasa, the science of rasa. He gave us Krishna Prasad, Krishna Lila, Kirtan, deity worship. So all these, they are designed to replace the lower taste with the higher taste. So it does not need a PhD to understand rasa, to feel the rasa. It just needs a simple heart which is softened by the devotion and service. And that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada, that's exactly what his aim was to cultivate within us. And if we don't feel much taste right now yet, it's okay. Srila Prabhupada has provided this process to awaken the taste in us. And if we continue hearing regularly from Bhāgavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, if we continue our chanting attentively, serve the devotees, take prasad with gratitude, live simply and humbly, and if we pray for bhakti, then soon we will begin to feel something that we have never felt before, and that is the awakening of rasa. That is the test. If we get bored of hearing Krishna Katha, that is the test. So we will experience something if we follow this process. We will experience the awakening of rasa within us, and that is the beginning of being a rasa with. And in the first chapter of first canto, there was this verse which was also spoken by the sages of Naimisharanya. So there they were addressing Suta Goswami, who had just begun to narrate the topics of Krishna and his incarnations. And as the sages asked their questions to Suta Goswami, their eagerness to hear about Krishna, it was so obvious. So they say that verse, Swadu Swadu Pade Pade, they say, Vayam tu na vitrupyam uttama shloka vikrame yashurvatam rasa jnanam Svadu Svadu Pade Pade. So they say that we are Rasa Jnanam. We are the ones who have Gnana, knowledge, understanding of Rasa. And that's why we relish Pade Pade. We relish Krishna Katha at every step. Every word, every step is delicious. It's very palatable. And that's why vayam tu na vitrupyam. We never, trupti again, trupti means satisfaction. That's why they say we never get satisfied hearing about Krishna, who is Uttama Shloka, whose pastimes are glorified in the best of poetry. So there is no end point in hearing the nectar of Krishna Katha, because Krishna's qualities, his pastimes, his names, his associates, his entourage, it's all unlimited. And they are unlimited, and so are the pleasures that one derives from them. But for that, first of all, the heart needs to be purified. So, and Lord Shiva describes the process of how one can become appreciative of Harikatha. In the Rudra Gita section, in the fourth canto of Bhāgavatam, he offers wonderful prayers to Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. So, in that Rudra Gita section, he describes how one can become appreciative of Harikatha. So, he says that, I forgot the verse, but he says that the devotee whose heart has been completely cleansed by the process of devotional service, and who has the blessings of Bhakti Devi, who is favored by Bhakti Devi, such a person, he does not get bewildered by the external energy, material energy, which is like he uses the word tamo guhayam, which is like a blind, dark well. And when one's heart is purified, cleansed by bhakti, and that is the way when one is, when all the material contamination is cleansed from the heart, that is when one is able to very happily relish. He addresses to the Lord. He says that is when one can understand your name, your fame, your form, your activities, and all that. So that Rudra Gita section is a very sweet section of Srimad Bhagavatam. It shows that how Lord Shiva, he also takes shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, and that is what our today's verse also says, that Krishna is the ultimate shelter for all, even for the exalted beings like Lord Shiva. Our verse says, Konam Trupyet Rasvit Kathayam Mahattamai Kant Parayanasya. So this Mahattama refers to exalted beings like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. So the extension of the word, the clarification of who Mahattama are being talked about is in the last line. Bhava Padma Mukhya. Lord Krishna. And this is what Lord Brahma, he accepts in Brahma Samhita. He says that qualities of Krishna are achintya. And who can understand his qualities? So like in Rudra Gita, Lord Shiva says that the devotee whose heart is cleansed by the process of bhakti, he can understand, he can have the taste in Harikatha. And in Brahma Samhita, Brahmaji talks about devotees' eyes. He says that Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santah Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He says, Shyama Sundara Krishna, he is Achintya Guna Swarupa. His guna, his qualities, his swarupa, his form, So his Nam, Gun, Roop, Leela, etc. They are achintya. So they are inconceivable. So he says that Krishna has innumerable, inconceivable attributes, and only his pure devotees, whose eyes are tinged with love of bhakti, of devotion, premanjanachurita bhakti, vilochanena. Only they can see him within the hearts of their hearts. So, so that's what Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they describe who can be a rasavid. Vidurji. So this verse about talks about the exalted personalities. So another exalted personality in Srimad Bhagavatam is Vidurji. So he says the same thing. He says that there is a verse 3, 5, 10. So he says, परावरेषां भगवन् व्रतानि श्रुतानि मे व्यासमुखादभीक्ष्णम् अतृप्तरुं क्षुल्लसुखावहानां तेषामृते कृष्णकथामृतौघात्. So, Vidurji says that from Vyasadevji, I have heard both kinds of topics, higher topics and lower topics. So, he says that the lower the material subject matters, they have left me atrupta. Atruptanum kshulla sukhavahana. Those pleasures that the material subject matters give us, they are kshulla sukha, very negligible, very little, temporary pleasures. But in them, I never found the nectar that I get when I hear Krishna Katha. Srila Prabhupada, he says that, when we put the pieces of wood in the fire, no matter how much wood we continue to put in the fire keeps consuming it. So Srila Prabhupada says, as the fire is never satisfied in its consumption of firewood, similarly, a pure devotee of the Lord, they can never hear enough about Krishna. And that is one of the symptoms of a devotee. Devotee never thinks that he has heard enough and he knows enough about Krishna. He fully knows that the Lord is ever fresh, He is unlimited. And so devotee is always eager to hear about Lord's pastimes again and again and again. Srila Prabhupada in his classes used to give example how a small child is restless without his mother. If he doesn't see his mother, he cries, he gets impatient, anxious. But when he is brought back to his mother, then he is completely at peace. So similarly, the soul, when soul is also satisfied or nourished only when it hears Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha is the food for soul. It nourishes and enlivens us, and it keeps us connected to our Supreme Mother, Krishna. His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, he used to quote a verse in his lecture. So that verse is from the Srimad Bhagavat Mahatmya section of Padma Purana. So in in that section of Padma Puran, there is a narration of Dhundakari. So he was a wicked person who was killed, and that's why he was roaming around in a ghost body. So by the mercy of his brother, his name was Gokarna. So by his mercy, his brother's mercy, he could hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And when he became free from his ghost body after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, then Dhundukari, he feels pity. He feels sorry for the condition of people who are not yet engaged in Krishna Katha. So he says this very nice verse. He says that Buddha eva toyeshu mashka eva jantushu maranayaiva jayante katha shravana varjita. He says that I feel sorry for those who are katha shravana varjita. those who are away from Katha Shravan. So just like bubbles, budbuda, the bubbles, they appear on the surface of water, and then within few seconds, within few moments, they disappear. And just like mashka eva jantushu, the small flies or small insects, they are born and within short time they die also. So similarly, Katha Shravana Varjita, the people who don't engage themselves in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, who deprive themselves from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, they are just marana yaiva jayante. They are born just to die. So that means they don't make any use of their human body and the facilities the human body gives them by having the facilities of ears and higher intelligence. So, in order to make the human life meaningful, we must engage ourselves in hearing, always hearing Krishna Katha. And when we make an effort to sincerely hear Krishna Katha, Krishna is very pleased and he reveals himself to us immediately. And when Krishna is near us, there is nothing to fear, and all the miseries they just vanish. In fact, in the seed verse of Bhagavad Gita, one of the seed verses, 10.9, Krishna promises that Mat chitta madgat prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. That is how my devotees, they get the tushyanti, that's how they get satisfaction, and ramanti, they get pleasure. So, there also Krishna mentions, he gives emphasis on bodhayanta parasparam. My devotees hear and talk among themselves about my Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila, So this hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is one of the most essential and transformative practices in our sadhana. And by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and his followers, we have abundant opportunities to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So, we all hear Srimad Bhagavatam, but how can we improve our hearing? So, Srila Prabhupada recommends, based on the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam itself, Srila Prabhupada recommends that first of all, we need to hear from the right source. Satam prasangam mama virya samvido. So Lord, his glories, they are best heard in the association of pure devotees. So we need to hear from bona fide speakers in the disciplic succession and not from the professional reciters who just for 1 week they do Bhagavad Saptah, they hear Bhagavatam, they have all these music systems and they recite the verses, and they for 1 week they talk about Bhagavatam, and then after 1 week the hearers are on their way, and the reciters who are raising funds with this speaking of Bhagavatam, they are on their own way. So that is not what Srila Prabhupada recommends. He says that Bhagavatam is to be heard in the association of devotees of Krishna. And the second thing we need to do is we need to bring regularity in our hearing. We need to set a fixed time daily for Bhagavatam, maybe even for 15 minutes. But the consistency is very powerful. And we need to minimize the distractions, put the phone away, find a quiet place, maybe in front of your deities. Just set a time, and every day, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, you just read. You read for your own purification, but you read as if you are reading for the pleasure of your deities. And we need to read aloud and listen attentively. So whatever we are reading, it goes again in our ears, and that sound vibration, that is the carrier of purification of our heart. We are also fortunate that we have the association of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the form of these Bhagavatam classes every morning, half an hour. We have the perfect arrangement. The time is fixed. We are hearing from devotees. And every morning we are getting at least half an hour's association of Srimad Bhagavatam. I know we are all very busy in our routines. We need to send children to the school, go to the office, prepare breakfast. So many things happening in the morning, but we need to make best of that time. And after that hearing in the morning, then next step is reflection. After hearing during the day, we need to try and reflect on what we have heard today. What does it mean in my life? And we should try to repeat what we have heard to others. When we speak something, we can't forget it. So speaking, it deepens our remembrance. And at our work or in our family, there is nobody who would be interested in hearing Harikatha, then we should just do journaling, as they say, take notes. Just write the summaries, the points we liked in that lecture. I'm really inspired and impressed by Shanti Rupa Mataji's practice. Whenever she hears a nice class, she makes some points, what she learned, what changes need to be made in our life. So she would put some nice points. And that's very inspiring, because if I talk about myself, I hear a lot. But I lack that quality of journaling or taking notes. And so after that, the next thing is following those teachings, applying them in our life. Don't just appreciate or admire these stories. We need to follow the instructions in them. Bhagavatam is not just an armchair philosophy or armchair study. It is meant to guide our daily life. So Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, they are said to be the manual of human life. So when we try to apply Bhagavatam in our life, then it opens deeper rasa and realizations in our heart. And also, when we approach Bhagavatam, we need to cultivate a humble mood and a prayerful mood. Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. So, we need to approach Bhagavatam as a servant, not as a scholar or a critic. So we need to pray to Srimad Bhagavatam that, oh Srimad Bhagavatam, whether we are speaking or we are hearing, we need to pray to Bhagavatam that, oh Bhagavatam, please purify my heart through these transcendental verses and these sound vibrations. And we need to think of ourselves like we are, and we need to realize that we are the fallen souls who are receiving their daily dose of the medicine when we hear Bhagavatam. That verse that says, Bhav Aushadhat Shotra Manobhirama. So Bhagavatam is Manobhirama. It does give pleasure when we hear, but it is also Bhav Aushadhi, medicine. So, the first thing about medicine is that we need to be regular in taking the medicine. We can't take medicine whenever we like and how much ever we like, and we take it only if we like today and the other day we don't like medicine. The principle is regularity. So that and yes, Srila Prabhupada wrote in his bhajan, the Markin Bhagavad Dharma bhajan, he says that, sorry, भागवतेर कथा से तव अवतार धीर हैया सुने जड़ी काने बार बार. So Prabhupada says that, O Srimad Bhagavatam, the words, your words, they are incarnations. So he addresses to Krishna that these words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a person is a dhira, a sober person, dhira hayya sune jadi kane bar bar. if he hears attentively and repeatedly, bar bar, then he will be able to understand what is the real message that you are giving in Bhagavatam. So, in summary, our today's verse says that, even exalted beings like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they cannot reach the end of transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna. Nantam gunanam gunasya jakmur. Ananta Shesha, the thousand-headed expansion of Supreme Lord, a form of Sankarshan, he has been glorifying the qualities of Lord Krishna since time immemorial. Even after so many ages, he has still not reached the end of those glories. The Lord's glories are so infinite. Even great beings like Brahma, Shiva, Anant, Sesh, they cannot reach the end of Krishna's qualities. Even the infinite Ananta Sesh is called infinite serpent. So he is the direct expansion of Lord, but he still cannot exhaust the glories of the Lord. He never stops because he is relishing Krishna's glories, which are ever fresh and ever blissful. There is, endless references and things we can share on this topic. But I think for today we'll pause here. Thank you so much for your enthusiastic participation. And I'm sure, each one of us has their own realization how Bhagavatam has transformed our lives. So if anyone wants to share their realization or has any comments, any questions, please feel free to unmute and share.
Lord was also called as Bhavabhaya Bhanjana.
Mhm.
So you were saying Bhu and Bhava and that way. So
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I would like to say thank you for your service. How wonderful, inspiring you are to listen. Even you're feeling sick, you're still doing your service to Lord Krishna and to all everybody in Krishna consciousness. I really love your class. It's so inspiring, Mataji. Thank you.
Nothing like that. Please bless me, Mataji, that I can serve Srīmad Bhāgavatam.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji, for the wonderful class. Just like to let everyone know, today is special Nirjala Ekadashi. And at the Hare Krishna Temple, Burbank, we will be starting Kirtan at 3 o'clock. So it'd be nice to have association of all the devotees. It is so nice to hear Srīmad Bhāgavatam, as Mataji said, on a fixed time, daily, 6:30 every morning without fail. And on Sundays, we all get together personally at Mangala Arati and do our chanting together, and then have Shringara Arati, darshan of Shri Radhagiri Vrinthari, followed by Guru Puja of Srila Prabhupada, expressing our gratitude to him, and then Srīmad Bhāgavatam study session in person and relishing prasadam together as well. This is a nice aspect of devotional service. So since today is, this special Ekadashi, we all can be inspired by the class of yesterday by Vedarbi Mataji and today by Grace Bhavme Mataji. Such wonderful class they both were. And, I know as I'm going to hear those classes again today. So, I'd request all the devotees to hear those classes again today and try to fill today's day with chanting of the holy names and then hearing Srīmad Bhāgavatam and getting together this afternoon at Burbank Temple. There'll be a special class again by Her Grace Bhavami Mataji this evening on Jagannath Ashtakam. And so we know next week is Snan Yatra, the bathing of their Lordships Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra Maharani. So it would be a nice prelude to the Snan Yatra ceremony. His Holiness Subhag Maharaj, who is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, will be here for that occasion. So much to look forward to. Thank you so much, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Have a wonderful Nirjala Ekadashi. Have a blissful Krishna conscious day, and I look forward to see you all in the evening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Mataji.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for your class. So inspiring.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.